Are you ready, Willie? Sure. Let's go.
Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to the Matt Kim Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kim, joined by my co-host, Mr. Peter Saddington.
What's up, guys? It's been a while.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
That's right. This is the 4th of July episode.
It is. Can we get a burr, 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 burr? It is 4th of July. If you've noticed, we are sitting in the boonies of 4th of July because, I don't know, I've been feeling really rural lately.
Did you have to enunciate that? Rural?
I mean, if I say it fast, it's going to come out like rural, and then it's weird.
Well, you could have an Asian accent where it'd be lolo.
Rural.
So we live in the lolos of Georgia. That's right, guys.
I'm feeling very rural today. And yeah, happy 4th of July, everyone.
The boonie, you say the boonies, the boondocks, the boonies like it's a negative thing.
No, I love it.
No, the boondocks, the boonies, outside of the city is where it's all happening. They don't do fireworks in the cities because it's too ghetto.
I love the countryside. I am falling in love with it even more these days.
Yes.
I was recently in Idaho. I was recently in Franklin, Tennessee. I've been going up to the north side of Georgia a lot. And
well, we need to catch everybody up because you and I haven't talked for at least 3 weeks. So we haven't done a podcast for at least 2-3 weeks for sure.
I think we're on 3 weeks
Okay,
now,
so
which is crazy because we've done one every week since a year and 5 months.
You've been super busy. I've been busy too, but you're the one that's going out and having all these conversations. So catch us up, and everybody out there, first off, welcome to the Matt Kim Podcast. Smash the like button, join the Discord, join the Telegram, all that good jazz. But you and I haven't really talked for 3 weeks, so let's harken back 3 weeks ago. What were you doing, and where were you heading?
It's even hard to think that far back now.
Yeah, so much has happened.
Because it's been such a long time ago. But I think we started at the top. I did my pilgrimage to Moscow, Idaho.
Yes, you did. Great conversation. Which, can I ask, who set up all your camera gear?
They had it ready for me when I got there.
It looked like Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, they
like
did a really
professional
good job.
level. You're on the stage, you got the 2 seats, you're looking at each other, and it's not where we're looking from the audience where we see this, the screen in the back. It's from the back going out, which I thought was like, makes you look larger than life.
It was really cool.
Well
they did a
done.
really good job.
Well done.
They color graded it before they sent it to me, and they set up all the cameras. They have very nice equipment, and they were like, just show up, and we have everything ready. And I was a little nervous because
You're on the main stage.
well, not the main stage, but I'm used to my equipment. Like, what if something goes wrong?
Fair enough.
And I got there, and they were so professional. They were so awesome. And Jake, who was out there and that set it all up, he was great. So amazing.
So if you haven't seen it, guys, I'm sure Matt's going to edit in a couple of cut-ins of that interview. Definitely want to watch that interview with Pastor Doug Wilson.
Yes.
It was. I think I had text messaged you afterwards that said it was my favorite interview.
Yes.
And then you had another interview like that was my favorite interview. Every interview that Matt's doing is getting better. And for those who didn't watch it, you should have watched it. You definitely watch it. But for those who didn't watch it, give us a little bit of the backstory. How did you connect? What was all about? And what did you learn?
So somehow I ended up growing up next to the guy, or I was born next to the guy, Pastor Doug Wilson. I actually went back to the house I was born in, which was weird.
Did that kick in some weird memories or something like
Well,
that?
I only lived there till I was about 3 months old, so I don't remember anything about it. But it's a tiny house.
Humble beginnings, brother.
It's a really humble beginning.
Humble beginning.
And I'm like, I really started at a really humble place.
That's good. That's good.
I didn't know. Because we always lived in like a kind of decent house. We never
Middle class.
Yeah, we never lived in a huge house, but we lived in a decent house. And to see where my parents started in that house, it's literally like two by two wide trailers put together.
Yeah.
That's what the house looks like.
So I don't know if you and I have had these conversations before, but I don't know about your audience in terms of kind of your past and kind of how you grew up. And what's been really fascinating is I know with 100% certainty that narrative of your upbringing and your youth has fundamentally changed now that
Yes.
you've met Doug Wilson.
Yeah.
Right? You now have more context for the time when you were basically a baby zygote. Is that the biology word that our biology teacher promised us would be useful someday, and we
Zygote?
finally fucking used it? I finally used the word zygote in a real conversation. Science teachers, we've done it. We've lived.
We've made it.
Yeah. So you got to meet him. You got to talk with him on this amazing stage. He's such a great communicator, and from my understanding, apparently he's been kind of on the road, and he's been doing even more interviews because YouTube keeps suggesting more and more of his stuff.
There is so much Doug Wilson content out there.
Seriously.
Yeah.
He's been doing
out
it
there.
either for a while or he's just like crushing it all the time.
I think he's just been growing over time, and his following is enormous. They are loyal, and he's changed so many people's lives. I've met so many people in Moscow, Idaho, that said, we moved to Moscow, Idaho, because we wanted to be a part of his mission.
Really?
So they moved their families to that city just so that they can be around it. So a lot of the people there are actually implanted into there.
Oh, really? You had this great story where you spent time, I guess, over dinner. And you had all these families that had come in. And if I can amalgamate everything that you kind of witnessed and you saw, is that there was no broken families.
No.
There was a lot of youthful discipline, respect.
Yes.
A lot of personal responsibility is something that kind of you extracted from conversations. But it seemed like the culture and society up in Moscow, Idaho, is very either classical liberal or very classical conservative. What would you call it?
I would say it's the meeting of the hard left and the hard right.
Yeah, unpack that. What does that mean?
So it's a college town. I feel like every single liberal college student in Idaho ends up in University of Idaho. So walking around, it is a lot of people with piercings and funny colored hair, and all letters of the alphabet are there hanging out. And they're like we were walking by a bar at night, and the bartender ambiguously gendered, So there is a lot of that community there.
So isn't that typical, though, of youth of the nation that are in colleges? Aren't they all trying to find themselves? Isn't that what it's all about?
Well, and then you have this hard right, and I don't know if you call them hard right. People would call them Christian nationalists. People will call them maybe extremists. Maybe ultra conservative is a word that people would use. But I noticed that the city is spotless.
Why?
So clean.
Why do you think that is?
It took me a while to figure it out because I'm walking around like, why is the city so clean? Any other city in the world, especially in this country, you go to a city and it has that much population of hard liberals. Usually the city kind of smells and it's dirty.
So what you're saying is the cleanliness and the culture of cities is often a function of the expansive liberalism that's around there.
I mean, it is, right? Drug use, homelessness, etc. The weather was beautiful.
Why do you think drug use, homelessness, derelict, homes and buildings, why do you think that all accompanies liberal thinking? Why is that?
Lack of morality, lack of shared sense of core values.
Is it because the liberal worldview is so vast and so expansive that there cannot be any unifying vision?
Yeah, I think it's the idea that you can believe anything.
Oh.
And people do believe anything. And because of that, they believe nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a loss. They feel lost. And they're constantly searching for purpose in the weirdest, oddest ways. Anything that will give them that feeling of acceptance is what it seems like they're going to. And somehow in the process, through the chaos, it just gets dirty and messy. I think that's what it is. But that city was spotless. It was so clean. And there was a synergy and symbiotic relationship between the hard left and the hard right. They don't necessarily like each other. They seem to be at war with one another, but yet it kind of works. And I thought about, why does that work? Why is that even a thing? And I realized, and I think this is my biggest takeaway, is that the hard right or the right is so unapologetic in their views. They have so much conviction in how they perceive the world and what is most important to them. And then the left, believes what they believe. But because both sides are so hard in their belief, that the Overton window sits somewhere in the middle.
So
there's this balance.
So you're saying the two extremes balance themselves out?
Correct.
That's odd.
Because most cities in America, the hard left is hard left, and the conservative right is moderately right.
Yeah.
They're kind of conservative.
They're kind of spineless in a lot of ways.
And because of that, they let that Overton window shift left. So it sits left of center, which is why all the cities tend to sit left of center.
So it sounds like to me, and I think this is a relative obvious statement for anyone that's traveled America or for anyone that's traveled the world and gone to rural towns and in areas that are off the beaten path that tend to have more, let's just say, a communal view of life. generally with those communal views of life, there's more conservative values, conservative principles, conservative mental models and worldviews. And typically, this is not odd, but it's a pattern that I've witnessed, is that generally conservative communities with conservative values tend to be really clean. Meaning they actually care and they come together as a community to make sure that the area in which they live is actually livable.
Yes.
Whereas the liberal, and you've traveled just as much as I have to the liberal cities, since there is no unifying vision, there's no mass responsibility for the world that they live in. And so there's trash galore, there's needles galore, there's shit on the sidewalk, there's garbage all over the place. Everything's derelict and nothing's kept up. And so it's almost like the liberals, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Matt, the liberals almost have to thank the conservatives for sustaining the society in which they completely take over and squeeze and, take advantage of. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I actually take it
because if it wasn't for the conservatives, Matt, hear my argument. If it wasn't for the conservatives, the liberals would be living in their filth.
Well, I take it a step further. I blame the filth and what's happened to the cities and society on the conservative right.
That seems unfair, though.
They allowed it to happen because of your flexibility in your views, because you've been so apologetic in why you believe what you believe. You should have been unapologetic, but they've been pandering to the left. They have been, we're going to try to be accepting. We're going to try to be understanding. We don't actually believe you, but we're not going to say it because we don't want to be offensive. And they allowed it to get to the way they are. You had a responsibility as the right, as the conservative, as the Christians to stand firm in your belief. And it was that lack in conviction that allowed society to go the way it has.
Wow. That's a tough call because you're really putting it all on the conservatives and let's add the word Christian, conservatives and conservative Christians. They are the reason why things have, let me put it differently, their tolerance has been their downfall.
Correct. And we were told that it's the Jesus type thing to do, that you need to be accepting, that you have to be understanding, that you have to accept all cultures. And I thought about it, and I'm like, actually, Jesus was not overly accepting of a person. He was actually really hard on people that disagreed. Yeah. He was like, no, get out of the synagogue. You guys are peddling here. Don't do that. He overturned tables. He was not the guy that says, no, let's just agree. He let the sinners, he let the prostitutes, he let the tax collectors eat with him. But he was never apologetic in his belief. But yet we're told that we're trying to be like him, but yet we are doing the opposite, which is allowing these things to happen.
So essentially you're saying Christianity has taken on the beta-ass version of Jesus.
Correct.
So, I mean, Jesus, and I think your bifurcation is absolutely on point. Jesus was unapologetic about his faith, his purpose, and the reasons why he was here. He loved on tax collectors, sinners, etc., prostitutes, etc., but he had this amazing balance where he could say to the sinner and the prostitute, yes, you are with this man that is not your husband. I'm just going to tell you the dirty truth of it, but at the same time, I care and I love you. Still eat with me. And so that was the difference. I think Christianity in America has very much gone to the overly empathetic side without the truth side being part of it.
It flipped, right? It's, I don't want to eat with you. I don't love you, but okay, fine, you can do it.
Yeah, you know what? I don't necessarily agree with what you're doing, but it's okay to have your schlong out in a pride parade in front of kids. Like, totally accept. Like, I'll tolerate it.
Exactly. It should have been the opposite. We should have said, "We love you, but you're wrong."
Let's getting on to you tweeted a couple things out which I thought were good. I'm curious though about these tweets that you made. This is the right segue. You tweeted just the other day that you're seeing all of these so-called conservative Christians and all of these people who have these principles and values and so forth, but yet they're all retweeting just schlongs in your face.
Yes.
Uncensored, which I saw a couple, which I was just like, oh man, like you actually reel back. You're like, no, come on, not like this, not on Tuesday. Like, I don't need this shit, you know. And so unpack that idea for me, because I don't think a lot of people. I saw a lot of the comments on that tweet, and a lot of people. I was like, you're misaligned. You don't get it. But help us understand your mental models around why that's so important. That if you are a so-called self-proclaimed Christian or man or woman of faith or with principles, values, why you shouldn't retweet schlongs and naked people walking around on video. Why is that important?
Well, it's a couple of things. Number one is that we live in a clicks and views economy. Clicks and views is a driving force behind everything.
I like to call it the attention economy.
The attention economy.
Yeah.
It dictates who you vote for. It dictates who's in charge. It dictates what policies matter. It dictates what the politicians actually do with their time. It drives literally everything. It drives your spending habits. It drives every aspect of society is the attention economy. If that's true, then by resharing that content, we are giving them the currency.
Ooh, oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Okay.
We don't need to give them the currency. That's what they want.
You're saying zero playtime.
Zero playtime. Because if no one was doing it, they wouldn't do these extreme things in public. Because why are they doing it? Why do you do extreme things in public? Why do you dance on a cop car? Because you want to go viral. Why are you giving gay blowjobs in the middle of children? Because you want to go viral. This is the number one driving factor behind most of the stuff people do.
Sounds like pride. Sounds like ego. Sounds like narcissism to me.
And people share it because they think, oh, we got him. No, you shared it because you wanted to go viral too. Because you wanted the engagement also. It's extremely disingenuous. You don't do it because you care about society. You do it because you're hoping for more clicks, views, and engagement and more currency for yourself. That's the only reason people share it. And they call themselves conservatives, but if they really cared about it, they would stop giving it the currency.
So I have to ask this question. I think I already know the answer. But you're willing to share things that, because I know that we're in the attention economy. You know that we're in the attention. We've been steeped in this world for longer than we'd like. We know too much. Right? We've seen the other side of the veil. Right? We understand the machinations and the engineering behind it. We understand the incentives and the motives. And I know for a fact there are a couple of tweets that you've made recently where it's like, bro, that's not a good clickable thing to talk about. Since I know you, I'm like, man, this brother is actually working against the clickbait world.
Yeah.
Right. So I know that I'm going to use the word wrestle. I know that you wrestle with this. How do you determine whether something is self-aggrandizing, narcissistic towards you versus, hey, I'm really questioning this. I really want to put this out into the ether and see how people respond.
I think over the last few weeks, I've made this conscious decision that I don't want to do anything for clicks and views. Because I think the clicks and views economy, the attention economy, I think it's the downfall of society. I think it's what perpetuates a lot of the evil in the world, because we want so much attention, because again, that's literally the most important currency of our life right now, that people will literally do anything for it. And I think as more people go towards that, if you can be the anti of that in the long run, I think it pays off.
I think so too.
And it's not the fastest road. I think it's definitely the more difficult road to go. But at some point, somebody needs to say, hey, this is the way I did it. I'm going to do it unapologetically in this fashion. And if it proves that it works, then maybe it will encourage others to do it also.
You know, have you seen Tucker Carlson's recent talk in Australia?
I love that thing. That was so good.
I turned to my wife, and I knew she wasn't going to watch the whole thing because she ain't got time for that. But I told her, I said this. I said, I love that Tucker is doing this.
Yeah.
And the reason I love it the most is because he has hit that level that we're just talking about, which is he is spitting his truth. And brother, I love it. He's not going to be right all the time. Like, no one's ever going to be right all the time. But he has the courage to say the hard things, his truth. You know, there was some booze in the crowd. We had this stupid Asian woman who was like, you're a racist. You're like, he was just like, shut up. You're stupid. and when I was watching this and I was telling my wife about it and how proud I was of Tucker, I thought of you and I was like, man, that's what you're doing as well, is that you're spitting your truth. You're not always going to be right. But the underpinning, for those who don't know, who are here watching, listening, the underpinning of Matt's worldview is he's trying to seek knowledge. He's trying to seek understanding, right? And seek the truth. It doesn't mean he's going to have the right answers, but damn it, he's willing to ask the tough questions. That is the long run. And that's what I appreciate the most about what we're doing.
I think
here.
my new gauge of whether or not I listen to someone online, that model has changed drastically.
Tell me more.
Now it's, if I believe that you are honest and genuine in your belief, that you actually believe what you're saying, even if I disagree, I'm willing to listen to you. If I feel like you don't believe what you're saying, I don't care if I agree with you or not, I'm not going to listen to you. I think that's do I listen? Do I turn this person on or not? That's how I decide now.
I think that's a good rubric.
And I ended up turning off a ton of people. Actually, I went to Twitter over the weekend, and it was one of my tweets I put
saw
up.
it. You kind of went scorched earth, man.
I just started blocking people. People that I think are either disingenuous or I don't care what they have to say any longer, or they've been just pushing this gay pride parade stuff all weekend long. If that was your gig over the weekend, block. Forget it. I don't care.
One of the examples you had was Tim Pool, who I completely, I don't know anything, but the way that I view him, he completely is sold out for the clicks and views. Like, he is completely sold out. It's palatable. You can actually see that he's not as genuine about the content and the stuff and the stuff that he's talking about as much. Is that fair? Do you see that too?
Tim Pool, no interest in what he's saying. Patrick Bet-David, completely off my radar. No interest in what he's saying. These guys, I believe, don't care about society one bit. They only care about themselves. They only care whether or not people watch them. They only care about the analytics and their metrics. And they don't actually care about affecting any sort of change. And I think because we are in this weird, odd, unforeseen war between good and evil, if you're either helping or you're hurting. And because I don't consider the people that are helping, I've just turned them off. And I don't miss anything. They don't provide any value to my life anyway.
Yeah, Patrick Bet-David is one of those YouTube channels that I actually last week, and I don't do this often, where I actually clicked the 3-dot ellipses and I said, "Don't suggest this to me anymore."
And they send it to you anyway.
They sent they sent that shit to me anyway, man. They don't care. I was like, I don't want to see. Number one, he's always a couple hours late, and I can get better feedback from Glenn Greenwald, which is far superior. But second, the fact that he's always commercializing every single clip just annoys the shit out of me. Speaking of which, so you've recently, we started off with your trip to Moscow, Idaho, which I watched that interview twice. I loved it so much. I think I also listened to it, because I go to sleep listening to podcasts. I think I listened to 3 times because it was really life-giving.
Yes.
I think that's the best word I can use for it.
Yeah.
It was really life-giving because me knowing you and, family, friends, all that stuff, so I have a deeper bias. But a lot of this is a spiritual journey for you. And I'd love to bring up this topic. It was the only topic that I had in my notes for today is do you feel like 2024 is a spiritual journey for you? And if so, unpack that a little bit for us, because I feel like you're really not only on a search for knowledge and seeking understanding around what the hell is going on with the world, but I also sense and feel that there's a deeper wrestling, the deeper tension, deeper friction in your soul. And so I could be wrong, Matt, but I'd love for you to unpack that if that's true.
I feel like that's true. I feel like we've had kind of a conversation leading into before when we were talking about purpose.
Yeah.
And why. Why do we do what we do, and why does it matter? And kind of the analogy was, well, like God put us in a certain position and gave us an audience, and it's our responsibility to do the best we can. And I feel like I spent a lot of time figuring out, but why? Right? I mean, that's kind of an obvious answer. Why? What is the plan? What is the purpose? And if there is a plan, like, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do?
What am I supposed to do? And I think that in itself was wrong.
Ooh, what does that mean?
I think the idea that I can sit here and logically, analytically figure out what God's plan is proud.
Fair enough.
It's pride. There's no way I can know that, right? But I've spent so much time and so much of my mental capacity and energy trying to figure that out. And then it hit me like, there's no way I'll ever figure that out. What am I doing? The idea that I'm spending so much effort trying to figure out something that I can never figure out, we live in a 3D world and I'm trying to figure out a 6D problem. It's crazy. And I kind of put that all aside. I'm like, I'm not going to try to figure it out anymore. That's not my place to figure it out. It's my place that I have been given an audience. I have been given this opportunity. And I have been given kind of this knowledge and access to information that most people don't have. What am I doing questioning it? Like, I should just be doing it.
So the way that you communicated this reminds me of when I was in university and we would go to CCF, Christian Campus Fellowship, or one of those Christian organizations, and sometimes students in those meetings, in those community groups, would ask questions like, I'm trying to figure out my purpose. I'm trying to figure out my degree. I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do in life. And I always found that the leadership in these organizations, bless their heart, like they're all well-meaning, but the answers were always unsatisfactory to me. It was always just like, well, we don't know what God's plans are, so just pray about it. Seek Him first. Do His will. Do the will of the Lord. Be a good person, and all shall be revealed. I found this to be exceptionally unsatisfying, Matt.
Extremely unsatisfying.
Extremely unsatisfying. Bro, come on, give me something harder than this, because I'm spending $45,000 a year to go to this school, and right now, underwater lesbian basket weaving is not working out. And I need to figure out how to do something with my life. And so, not to say that that's where you are, but kind of in the same vein, it's similar. It's like, what do I do? Just pray and hope and do the Hebrews thing? Hope in the faith that is yet unseen? Is that how we go around and do this Matt Kim podcast? Or is it, tell me, what is someone practically supposed to do with a problem like this?
Well, I think
I'm asking you to be a muksa. I'm asking you to be a pastor.
I am
now.
not evangelist at all. So if you're thinking,
but
Matt's going to teach us God, I am not.
He has it in his blood. His parents. Yet, who knows? In the future, you could become a muksa.
I don't think that's my calling in life at all.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think
I don't believe so. I ran into this passage.
Dude, that's when the Lord's going to be like, bro.
No.
I'm Godsmack you, and I'm going to turn you into the greatest Korean American evangelist of all time.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's my calling in life at all. I ran into this passage that someone actually sent to me, and it was a passage, I think it was from Ezekiel. I forget what chapter. From Ezekiel, it's the concept of watchmen.
Oh, yes.
The concept is watchmen are appointed, and they are supposed to sound the alarm, blow the horn for any incoming danger. Mm-hmm. If the people in the town and the city don't listen to the watchmen, then it's on them for the danger.
Yes. Woe is on their heads and sackcloth on their bodies.
If the watchmen see the danger, but don't blow the horn, God will judge them. We're watchmen.
Ooh, kind of like that.
It's our responsibility, if we see something irregular in the world, that we see it from a different perspective that actually could provide value or warn people, and we see it, but we don't say it, actually God will judge us for not letting the people know. Why else do we have a platform? It's our responsibility to do so. Ooh. And I think that's really my place. I think that's what I'm supposed to do.
You're a watchman.
Yeah, watchman.
I like that.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe sometimes it's a false alarm, but you have to blow the horn. Because if you don't blow the horn, it's on me.
Do you remember the ink blot guy in the Watchmen? What was his name? The guy with the ink blot. Do you remember his name? Do you remember his name, Will?
The guy that has the shifting face.
The best scene is when he's in the jail. Do you remember that? When he's in the jail at the line, in the food line, and the black guy behind him is like, "Oh, you're pretty famous, man. Well, you haven't heard about me. I'm pretty famous too." And he tries to shank him, and he smashes him, grabs the oil, the hot oil, smashes it on his face, and the guy's just like, "Ah!" And the guards hit him, and the best line ever. Do you remember the line?
No.
He goes like, "You guys don't seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me." Don't you remember that, Will?
I do remember that.
You remember that? Hardcore shit.
Yeah.
So, you are a watchman. We're not locked in here with you. I was going to go somewhere with that. No, here I really like the watchman idea because your job is to sound the alarm, to make things known, to make things transparent. And at the end of the day, while it's not your responsibility for people to wake up and pick up their axes and take up arms, you have done sufficiently your job. And I think that's a nice place to be. It's like, my job is to be the watchman, to sound the alarm, to ask the bloody questions, ask the hard questions, speak into the darkness when other people might not. I might get fried, I might have a little bit of suffering for it, but my job is complete. Is that fair?
I think that's what it is. I think if you want to affect change, you need men, specifically men, to make selfless sacrifice. You can't just sacrifice because it's easy, because it's not really sacrifice. You have to be willing to give up something for that sacrifice. Otherwise, you're not actually trying.
What are you willing to give up?
I mean, it's been a rough road.
He's like, what haven't I given up already, brother? I've given up a year and a half of my life.
We've given up a lot of time,
Yes.
a lot of resources.
Yes.
We've given up safety. Somehow I am probably on who knows how many government watch lists.
True.
Not something I've ever signed up for.
Yeah, and social media companies now dislike you because they're banning you.
Social media, I'm fighting tech overlords.
Yes.
I'm fighting shadow governments. It's such a weird place to be. That's the reality of it. And I think I'm okay with that.
Is this what the Bible talks about in terms of persecution in the end of days? Is this your persecution?
I don't know if we're at the end of days. I think we're going through a revival.
You know what I ended up watching? Doug Wilson's clip on post-tribulation versus pre-tribulation theology. Did you watch that?
No.
God, that's what YouTube's suggesting to me. Don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about noticing. Have you recently seen Candace Owens' videos? See, the reason why this is contextually relevant is she seems to be coming into what we've just talked about. She seems to be becoming even more of a watchman. And she is talking about very prickly ideas. You see, if you remember the movie The Watchmen, not all of them survived. That's where I'm getting to. And so I won't bring up any of the specific topics, but she seems to be becoming a very prominent watchman in the world. And I wonder if she's going to be, well, if she's going to have a similar fate that some of the watchmen in the movie had. What do you think?
Well, I feel like...
Because she's asking the right questions, Matt.
I feel like I need to sit down with her one day and find out if I feel like she's genuine.
That is a good question.
I think that's the most important thing. I think that there's so much chatter and there is a movement of people noticing. And it's easy to say that, oh yeah, I'm going to champion the noticing.
Yeah.
But it can be very disingenuous.
Yes.
I don't believe her that much. I'm on the fence because I like some of the things and topics she talks about. I don't know if I personally believe her. And that, again, that's my rule. Do I feel like you're honest and genuine? Or are you doing it specifically because you know it's going to get clicks and views? I'm in the camp of, I think she's doing it because she wants the clicks and views.
I lean towards that as well.
And if that's the case, even though I agree, I'm just turning it off. I have to believe you at this point.
So one way to quell this issue would be all of the global community of free thinkers out there. If you know inroads, get us a conversation with Candace Owens. I think, Matt, you'd love it.
Yeah. Again, that's my rule of thumb now. Do I feel like you're an honest and genuine person? And something in me just, like, can you imagine working with her?
No, I think
she'd be horrible to work with.
I think she'd be a dictator type boss, very controlling probably.
I think she would fit a lot of stereotypes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem like an angry person, though. But I bet she's got the tiger mom in her, though. For sure.
I've had people that used to work for her reach out and be like,
really?
Yeah, be like, oh, she's like, all the stories about her being horrible, like, they're all true. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know. I didn't ask, but thank you.
Well, actually, could we still have a conversation with her, though? Because we'd still like to
I'm
meet
curious. I don't know. I have
we don't
no
want to cast any
context to that.
judgment.
I've never had a conversation with her, so I don't know.
So this is one woman that is on the radar. We'd love to have a conversation with Candace Owens. For everybody out there, I think it would be a phenomenal conversation, regardless whether you believe her or not. I think you should still have her on. But in that vein, you've recently also, in the last 3 weeks of us not hanging out and talking because you've been so busy, you were hanging out with another lady who has recently noticed things. And you had a really fun interview with her. She was sitting right here. And the reason why she became famous is because she's what my kids call a peach skin person. We say peach skin at home. She's a peach skin person, but she said the hard R.
Well, she didn't say the hard R.
No, she didn't say the hard R. She said the N word without the hard R
in a very casual way.
I mean, it was almost fluid.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like you and me back in middle school. Oh, we didn't say those words back.
We said it all the time.
Okay, we did. So, tell me about her. Tell us about her. If you haven't watched the interview, you should. She is a hilarious individual.
So yeah, we had an interview with Lily Gaddis. I really like her.
She blew up.
I reached out to her because she made this one video that was like not because the N-word video, but she made a video talking about how she was fighting with the left and fighting with the right, and its whole thing is rigged. Everyone's fake. Everyone's full of shit, and they're only doing it. And I was like, oh, she sees it, and poor her. Oh. I felt bad because she went viral. She started getting calls from all these people on the right, which I've been through. And you get too close, you kind of take a peek behind the veil, and you're like, holy shit, the conservatives don't believe anything they're saying.
Yeah, they're just as bad.
They're just as bad, if not worse. And I could see that in her in that moment, that she just realized that. And she's a younger girl. She just went super viral out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, she's like, I thought all the conservatives were on the same side. And you realize they only care about money. They only care about clicks and views. They actually don't care about you. They don't care about the country. They don't care about society. They don't care about your family. They literally only care about themselves. And in that moment, I was like, I'm going to reach out to her.
You're like, I've been there, girl. Let me tell you about the trip I was on.
And I think that's all it was. I just reached out because I felt like as she goes through her journey, it'd probably be nice. Because when I started realizing this, there was no one. There was no one out there that be like, man, like this sucks. And
how do you navigate this nonsense?
So I thought it'd be nice to like reach out because we've been doing just a hair longer. And I thought it'd be just a nice thing to do to reach out. And she came down and we had a conversation and I really like her.
You're going to have another conversation with her? I thought she was funny.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do something again in the future. Why not?
Yeah, so I think she did get fired from her job, the usual stuff, right?
Yeah.
But she didn't do the Hawk Tua monetization, which, have you seen that?
Yes.
We have to talk about that.
Hawk Tua.
We have to talk about the Hawk Tua.
I thought, well, because the first 3 days, I had no idea what Hawk Tua was. I had no idea what people were talking because I don't consume that much content. And then people start sending to me, Hawk Tua, Hawk Tua.
I think I said it to you too.
I was like, what am I watching? I don't get it. And then I realized how viral this was going. And I was like, oh, that's cute. It's actually pretty innocent. I thought that was actually kind of charming. Weird, but charming. And then you see the aftermath of where she's going.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, I don't like her.
She got hats. She was on the country music stage.
Oh, I don't like her.
You really? You don't like her?
No.
You don't like her time in the sun?
No, I feel like she gives me the Oliver Anthony vibe.
What does that mean? Oliver Anthony's a good human being.
Was he?
Well, he was a good human being, and then
he made one song that went super viral, like oddly.
But then he got approached by the system, and it seemed like he got sold out a little bit.
And then he disappears.
He kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, that plus, I don't think he ever really had conviction in what he was doing. Like he wrote songs about it. I think he was just a singer.
You see, I think the Hawk Tua girl was I'm hoping that other people who are listening to this feel the same way. I think the Hawk Tua girl was exactly what the nation needed. Let me unpack. The reason is because June is gay month in America. And everyone's tired of that. Like, everyone's just tired of gay month. Hawk Tua girl, in my mind, completely disenfranchised the entire month of June from the gays. And so, from now on, till the day that I die, June month will be Hawk Tua month. And I think that's exactly, I'm not being facetious. This is exactly what America needed. America right now, from a media standpoint, is so over the gay month of June. Like, everyone's so over it.
I worry about propping up a girl that doesn't want to be there, that doesn't actually have any conviction in her values. And we're going to find out in a couple of weeks or a month that she is in love with Hollywood, in love with the hard left. And they're going to be like, ha, you guys all liked her, didn't you? Well, she's one of us now. And it's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be humiliating.
Yeah, but
they always do that. They set people up to humiliate you later. And they're like, remember all you...
She signed up with a talent agency.
Yeah, she signed up.
Oh,
she
really?
signed with one of these Hollywood talent agencies.
She was on one of those.
Call Her Daddy, one of those.
Not Call Her Daddy. It was a smaller one. But she was on like a 15-minute podcast from one of the podcasts from Barstool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so she's already hit like mainstream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's just a 21-year-old that wants to be famous.
Yeah, that's all she is.
Really?
Yeah, she's really innocent. There's nothing.
Well, I left it at the innocent part, but now
Yeah.
she seems like she's
yeah, but she
professionalized.
wants to. Yeah, she wants to capitalize and be like an influencer.
Yeah. And they're gonna rub it in your face later.
Okay, so
and
would
they're gonna be like, look at all you conservatives who thought this was cute, idiots.
Wouldn't you rather?
They always do that. They
But-
always get you.
But wouldn't you rather have the Hawk Tua girl for the month of June instead of
Well,
schlongs in your face all
ask
month
me in
of
2
June?
months when she's like, well, I like all races, and she has a she, her in her profile, and they're like, oh yeah, you guys made her.
You're saying she'll turn into a Demi Lovato, where it's now like she's a they them and she's an androgynous like.
I think that's much
Numpty.
more likely than her going I'm gonna be the conservative girl. I don't think she is. And they found her in Nashville. Nashville is not a conservative place.
No, you're not wrong.
So just because she has a southern accent, people are like, oh yeah, she's conservative. But nothing else about her says she's conservative at all. She's actually not even a school teacher.
All right, Rick, you win the over/under on the $1,000. I thought I was going to be able to convince Matt of the Hawk Tua girl taking over the month of June. I owe you $1,000, brother. This is a personal bet. He's like, you talk about the Hawk Tua girl. See if Matt will agree. Clearly, you don't agree that the Hawk Tua girl should take over the month of June.
I think she's gonna end up being a big psyop for a lot of us,
Really?
and that they're gonna gotcha with her. They always do that.
Can I say something
people.
that might be really off color,
Okay.
considering the context of our conversation? I saw a picture of your latest lady, Ilya, right? Is her name?
Lily.
Lily. Why did I say Ilya? Lily, who was sitting here. Someone put on took a picture or have a picture of her pre-surgery and post-surgery. Do you know what the pre-surgery looked like?
Jewish.
Very big nose. In the post-surgery.
I saw that.
And I wondered, is she a psyop?
It's not impossible.
Is she a psyop? I mean,
I liked her.
I mean, you can like people, no problem. But regardless of you like them, they can still be a psyop, right? So I just have to question Matt. Is she a plant? Is the Hawk Tua girl? I mean, like you were talking earlier about 60
I think people think that psyops, and when they elevate people, that they're like, okay, hey, we're gonna make this clip, we're gonna force you to go viral, and that they are planted into that situation.
Why can't that be the truth?
I don't think that's how it works.
I think that's how it works.
I think they take someone that is going viral, and then they bring them in, because you can't plan it.
Right.
Sometimes people just
think-
react to it.
People think Matt's a psyop.
Yeah, people go viral.
People think Matt's a
and then they come-
psyop?
Of course,
They think he's AI half the time.
a lot of people think I'm AI.
That's true. I've seen that. Like, your Hispanic videos are pretty good.
Yeah,
Your
they're
Hispanic
really good.
ones are pretty good when you're speaking Spanish.
But I think that's what they do. I don't think they choose from like the very beginning, because it is actually very expensive to do. There's a lot of risk involved. And what if it doesn't work? They would rather approach people that have a moment and convert them to their side. I think that's the actual psyop. So the Hawk Tua girl, they don't create the Hawk Tua girl. Society and the internet somehow reacts to a moment, she becomes the Hawk Tua girl, and then they're like, hey, Hawk Tua girl, why don't you join our agency? Why don't you start agreeing with some of our ideas?
Why don't we give you lots of money so that you are naturally now affiliated to us?
Correct.
I see.
It's so much easier to buy someone than to create someone. Why would you create from scratch when you can't predict the outcome? It's so much easier just to buy someone because you're already 90% of the way there then. I think that's how psyops work. I don't think they start from scratch. So when they say, oh, Lily was a plant, I think that's very unlikely.
So you're saying everything is just eventually co-opted?
Correct.
Yeah.
And even the best of people, a lot of people, start off with the best of intentions. And they come knocking and they say, well, if you agree with us, we'll give you so much money. If you have a tendency to agree with us a lot, then we'll add you to our network. We'll give you distribution. We will amplify your message. We'll help you with your branding. They do all these things because you've taken the few steps to start agreeing to their co-op.
Well, if I can say with clear confidence to everyone listening and everyone watching out there, it is absolutely 100% truth that Matt cannot be a psyop because he doesn't have any of these people coming to him. He has nobody coming to him, giving him the love snack,
No.
giving him a slice of the pie. No one's giving Matt love.
Well, I think they did. We just didn't realize it because they don't start off with, "Hey, we're here from this agency
We're
and
here
we
from
want to
APAC."
sign up you." Yeah, we're here from APAC. Like, let's have a conversation. It doesn't start that way. It's, "Hey, here are some topics that we would like for you to agree with. We'll pay you if you take it. And if you start showing that you're willing to play the game, if you show that you're willing to work, then all of a sudden they're like, okay, you can buy him." Now the bigger people
Now
start
you're
coming
in
in.
the envelope.
Correct.
I
They don't
see.
come with the big envelope in the beginning. Why would they? It doesn't make any sense.
So they would only
may
do-
get outed.
So they only do that stuff with like national leaders, like the son of Cuba's Castro, right, for Canada and stuff like that, right?
Trudeau.
Okay, so I went on this really crazy rabbit hole that throughout history, it was ridiculously common throughout history and the monarchs and kingships and all of that to have, because they couldn't find a strategic alliance of a family with a daughter. That throughout history, Matt, throughout history, these kings of countries and have married other men, and they dressed them up as women so that they could appear like they're married into some strategic alliance. And once I pulled on this thread and I went down to these, all this Reddit stuff, it seems ridiculously common that in the old times, that if you couldn't find the right strategic relationship, you dressed up a man, and that was your queen. But back then they didn't have social media and cameras and phones, so you could get away with it. And the only time that the populace and the public saw the queen was then when they were waving from their carriage 5 miles away in the parade. But now that we have all these iPhones and these pictures, it's going to be harder and harder for these men of industry, men that lord over countries, to get away with marrying other men.
I mean, the best example is Big Mike.
Big Mike, yeah.
And it's not very convincing.
Not very convincing. And we have the French guy too.
And they've spent a lot of money, a lot of resources trying to make her as convincing as possible, but yet not fooling many people, although she is fooling a lot.
Well, that's my point, is that most psyops are co-opted. If you're in leadership, then you're born into that string, and they got to play that game. Even though you fail all the way, like Trudeau, I cannot believe they haven't just like executed that man by now. He's done so many terrible things. Speaking of which, I had a hell of a time, so much fun, probably the most fun that I've had in a while, with this presidential debate that we watched together with the amazing freethinker community. What a shit show, Matt. Can we just talk about that for a little bit? What a shit, because I want to know your thoughts on where we're going. Because if you haven't seen the Trump-Biden debate or the clips, clearly you see a man who is, let's just say, disintegrating before our very eyes. He's de-evolving before our very eyes. And so, Matt, give us your skinny. What is going on? What is going to happen? What are your thoughts? I'm sure your community, the world wants to know what Matt Kim thinks about the entire presidential debate.
Well, we knew that he deteriorated. He's been deteriorated
What are you
since early
talking
in the
about,
year.
Matt? All of the CNN and MSNBC people for the last 6 years have been telling us that he's cogent, he's a critical thinker, he's a leader of extraordinary sophistication, and he never minces words. He gets everything right. That's what we've been told for the last 6 years, brother. You lie.
And they have clearly been lying to you. The craziest part is, and I made a couple of videos on that, TikTok has been deleting them left and right.
I know.
TikTok keeps on deleting those.
Fuck off, TikTok.
We know for a fact that he is not cogent.
You're not there.
We know that. Everyone in the world knows that. There's no one out there that believes that what
You
he...
can't say that. 33% in the polls. 33% in the poll. 22 to 33% of the polls that Americans think Biden is good enough, healthy enough to run the country, Matt.
33% of people don't want Trump. That's all it is. I don't think anyone wants Biden at this point.
I can't believe though that your hatred for Orange Man Bad is greater than a mutated retarded potato.
Well,
You'd rather have a mutated retarded potato in front of the microphone, leading the leader of the free world, than Orange Man bad? Come on, Matt.
That is why I think Gavin Newsom is a really scary proposition.
Oh, Jesus.
I really do.
That guy's like
I really think he's a really
Satan.
scary proposition because he is essentially all the policies of Joe Biden
And Obama.
Oh
yeah.
But without the I'm not cogent factor. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
He's the younger version of him.
He's even less principled.
So if you realize that half the country, they just don't want Trump. They just can't get behind Biden.
I have cognitive.
So Trump has big numbers now, but that's because nobody wants Biden. Once they replace Biden with someone like Gavin Newsom, who has similar policies, who is the antithesis of Trump, but he's younger and he speaks well, they're going to flood people back to that side. I believe it.
Dude, the amount of
I think people should be really concerned. And we've been warning about this since last year. And people are like, oh, that's so stupid. That'll never happen. Like, bro, we're right there now. I think Gavin Newsom can win.
So that's what you're telling me. You're telling me that even though we have 22, I've seen polls, 22 to 33% of Americans still would choose Biden over Trump. And you're just telling me it's because they believe that Orange Man bad is so bad that they'd rather have a retarded potato as a president.
All the independents and Democrats that said they'll vote for Trump, they're just doing it because they don't want to vote for Biden again because he's not competent.
Yeah.
If you replace Biden with the same policies but with a competent person, actually you'll get all those people back. Because the reason that they don't want to vote for Biden is because he's not competent. But now you put the competent version of Biden in there, he's going to get all those people that left to come back. And people going to say, oh, but Californians don't like him because they know the truth. No, that's bullshit.
He's successfully he has successfully proven that he can't manage anything.
He has successfully proven that even though Californians say they don't like him, given the opportunity to not vote for him, they still voted for him again.
There's not a single Californian who's lived in California that can say California has gotten better under Newsom's.
And yet they had the opportunity to remove him from office.
And they didn't.
And they did not. So Californians, you can talk all the shit you want. You guys fucked this up because you had the ability to remove him from office, remove him from the national conversation. You didn't. And now the rest of us have to clean up your mess. That's just the reality of it.
Stockholm syndrome, man. You Californians love being slaves. Love being slaves.
Californians say, "Oh, we hate him. We hate him." Yeah, you didn't hate him enough to remove him.
I know. He told
That's
all
just
of you.
fact.
He closed the beaches. He closed you in your houses while he was going out having $1,500 dinners with his homies with no mask on. All you slaves. Maskless slaves. I'm kind of amalgamating everything that you're saying, congealing it all together because I still can't believe that 22 to 33% of Americans still want to have Biden in there. But you're saying that the same policies we're just we're just swapping out a 90-year-old for a 50-year-old is what you're saying.
That's exactly it.
So Gavin Newsom's going to be on the ticket.
I think so.
I
think it makes sense. If I was a Democratic Party, that's what I would do because it could actually work.
Dude, okay, so let's just say this happens. The amount of, which I have to also bring up, the amount of seesawing that I saw from mainstream media immediately after the debate, because we watched that live too, some of the CNN stuff, where they were just like, Van Jones was like, I'm gonna cry, and all these other people were just like, oh man, he's clearly can't do this work. To a couple days later, people are like, well, just look at his record. 30 plus years, like he's done. Too bad he can't talk, but he's been doing so good. Like this amount of seesawing back and forth.
Isn't that what they're saying? His policies are great. Everything he's done is not incorrect. That we actually like his policies. He's just too old. Okay, then how do we solve that? We find someone with the same exact policies, but we replace him with someone that's not too old. It actually solves their problem.
Is that legal though?
Of course it is. There's nothing considered illegal in the world.
We didn't even have a primary for Biden. By the way, have you forgotten the lack of transparency?
Well, he did have a primary. He did win the most delegates.
We didn't have a primary. You get it.
Yeah, but officially we did.
He crushed it.
Officially, he crushed it.
81 million votes or 82 million votes?
And can you imagine how happy the mainstream media would be if Gavin Newsom became the presidential nominee? Because he would do all the shows. He would be on all the interviews. Right now, the biggest knock on Biden is that he can't do the interviews, he can't do the shows, he can't do the press tour. The Democratic machine, which is the mainstream liberal media, they get nothing in content from Biden.
That's right.
It's a desolate zone right now.
Yeah,
There's nothing coming to them.
You're not wrong.
So they are constantly pulling teeth, trying to justify that you're supposed to like this guy when clearly people don't.
Yeah.
But you replace him with someone shiny and speaks really well and shows really well on camera, they're going to be doing cartwheels and flips for this guy.
So if it's not Gavin, who would it be then?
I feel like it has to be. And I don't want it to happen.
Did you see Kennedy on Cigar the other day, Talking Points? He said that he proclaimed out on Cigar's show. He's like, Democrats, you need to give me the nomination. Do you think the Democrats will give Kennedy? No?
No. And I think that's really disingenuous. I thought you were independent. I thought you were against both parties. Now you're going to go back to the Democratic. That's my biggest knock on Kennedy.
He's a Haktua. He's a Haktua girl.
Like,
Kennedy's a Haktua.
there are a lot of things he says that I actually agree with, right? I love that he's so against the vaccines. Great. But he flip-flops so damn much.
Bro, you're not wrong.
I remember he was on Sean Ryan's show, and Sean Ryan asked him, but hey, you said you agree with full-term abortions.
Oh, yeah.
Has your position changed? He's like, yeah, I just realized that people are really against that. So I've decided to change my position. Like, this is not on-the-go learning. You're trying to be president of the country and you don't know what people think? You didn't know that people are against full-term abortions? You just figured this out?
On-the-go learning. I love that. I'll use that from now on.
So that's my biggest thing with him. He lacks a certain level of conviction. I would rather him double down on why he believed it. And I'm like, all right, I disagree, but at least he's got conviction.
Yeah.
At least he believes what he believes. I remember when his vice presidential nominee came out, and her first tweet after being nominated for vice president.
Oh, yeah. What a bad choice.
Was she was like, I just went to the border and I realized that the border is a problem. You just realized?
You can't be saying shit like that.
You just realized after becoming vice presidential nominee for president of the United States, you just realized then that the border was a problem. And she said it so proud, like, oh, I'm learning. No, fucking learn on someone else's time. What world is that okay?
Pro tip for all of you wannabe politicians or hopefuls out there, you cannot tweet out, I just realized that. You can't do that.
Especially if it's a topic that the whole country is thinking about, talking about constantly.
That's like Kamala Harris when she was just like, guys, I'm going to tell you about AI. I just realized that AI means artificial intelligence. Bro, you can't say that shit,
Just
bro.
don't say it out loud.
Don't say the silent part out loud.
Just don't say it out loud.
Oh, man.
She could have easily said, the border is a problem.
Did you see the 4-minute video of Kamala? I feel like we need to do an outro with that.
What's the phrase? I heard it so many times.
We are not burdened by what's come.
Oh, burdened by what has come, by what will be.
And unburdened by what will be.
Unburdened by, and she always does a hand motion.
Yeah.
From what has come to what will be.
Yeah. We are unburdened by what has come and unburdened by what will be. Like, you need to watch that video, guys. It, like, you might say 4 minutes. How is this possible?
It's 4 minutes of every single time she said that.
She said it like over 100 times.
It's crazy.
It's awesome.
And in what world did her advisors say, this is a good line, own it? Right?
Oh, it's a good line, own it.
And think about how many times she practiced this motion in the mirror.
Can you believe that she's second in line? So, riddle me this. Her father is Indian. I believe her mother is Hawaiian, something like this. But regardless, she's not, first off, not black.
She's black, Indian, Hawaiian, Indian.
Yeah. But from what I understand, because of that, these things, that she's not eligible to be president, or did I read the?
I mean, Obama became president. He was born in Kenya.
That's true.
So apparently that doesn't matter anymore.
Did you know that George Washington was not our first president?
Yeah, we talked about 8 presidents before.
Yeah, 7 or 8 presidents before. Bet you didn't know that. Yeah, see, here's the thing. And I was having a conversation with my daughter about this the other day because we're just totally keep our teenagers woke. And I said to her, I said, if you believe that they're lying to us today about the news, imagine what they've done about history.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to sound somewhat dogmatic when I say this, but none of history is true.
No.
None of it. Like,
None.
it sounds axiomatic. It sounds hard, hard line for me to say that. But dude, the more that you uncover, nothing from history is true.
And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, because now we're starting to see that we've been lied to, not only now, but we've been lied to our entire lives.
Yes.
And I think because of this awakening of people are scrambling, looking for truth. And I actually think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Kind of go back to a point is that, I think that the country...
When you shatter the dome of the flat earth, then things get in.
I got into a flat earth argument last night.
Things get in. Little mind viruses get into your brain.
So I think the country is going through a revival.
Ooh.
In order to go through revival, I think there are 3 components. First is intellectual. Do you notice things? Is what you've been told in your mind not correct? Are you waking up? The second level and the second stage would be emotional. Are you starting to get angry about it? Are you getting sad about it? Isn't your emotion taking over because you're realizing that the world around you is not what it seems?
Disillusionment.
Are you having the emotional reaction?
Yeah.
The third action actually is just will. Are you willing to do something about it? Are you willing to change? Are you searching for different answers? And I think we're at the precipice of that third will, of something is going to happen. And I think every 60 or 70 years in this country, we go through a revival where people start questioning the reality around them. People start getting angry about the reality around them. People start looking for a community, looking for truth, looking for some sort of purpose and guidance. And what it does is creates people to go, it's just easier if we just start looking towards God.
Ooh.
And
this is where you're going. Okay.
And it creates a revival. It happens every 60 or 70 years in this country, over and over and over and over again. And that kind of helps balance out society, where society is going so far in one direction. This revival happens, kind of turns it and corrects it again. And the revival and the aftermath of it will last about 20 years or so before it starts going down that slippery slope again. And then, 40 years later, we're back into being complete desolate. But you have 20 years of, okay, people are waking up, people are noticing, and people are looking for answers, not in state, not in society, not in cultural norms, but in faith and religion. Oof. And I feel like that's where we're going, because every conversation I have somehow ends up going into that direction. I see it over and over and over again. And all over my life, every conversation, even Theana dropped by the other day just to say hello. We're talking about her golf career. And she starts asking me questions about religion and faith and God. Where'd that come from? Over and over and over again. Every conversation, at the end of it, it goes, faith.
Yeah. And that would be very aligned to the patterns and the stories that we hear and read about in the Bible. The first thing that comes into mind is the prodigal son. If we were to oversimplify the prodigal son, the story of the prodigal son is: the world has no solutions for you, son. You can spend all your money on sex, objects, things, vanity, possessions, drugs, consumption, but the world has nothing for you. And at the end of the day, when you realize that you've burnt out all your money, burnt out all your will, and burnt out all your excitement and all of your frothy ejaculations. That's from Anchorman. You guys saw that one? After you've had massive frothy ejaculations, you realize that at the end of the day, nothing can quell the heart like faith. Nothing can quell the heart like a greater purpose. So I feel if I were to restate what you said, the world is waking up because the world has spent so much time on frothy ejaculations.
Yeah, that's not how I would put it, but makes sense.
When you spend all your effort and all your time and all your will on the world, you'll find that the world does not bring life. The world does not satiate. And frankly, the only thing that you can come back to is the word.
And I think that's maybe the direction that I see a lot of people going. I see it in my conversations every day. Ever since I went to this little trip, this little pilgrimage, I've been calling it a pilgrimage. Ever since I came back from the pilgrimage, the amount of people that send me Bible verses in my DMs on a daily basis, it's crazy.
It's your Mount Sinai moment, man. You're
crazy.
coming down with the tablets, bro. You're coming down with the word of God. God has his hand on your life, regardless of whether you like it or not. He is guiding and leading you to where he wants you to be. And at the end of the day, you can say only one thing: "Here I am, Lord. Use me." And I think that's the right place to be. I like the Watchman model. That's going to sit with me for a long time. I got a noodle on that.
Thank you, my fellow watchmen.
Frothy.
Appreciate everyone. And if you want to support the show, we are saying no to literally every single propagandist out there. We are saying no to every single weird agency. We are saying no to every odd opportunity. And we could say yes. And I think some people in this room wish I would say yes. But we say no.
Did you hear that, Will?
Because in order to do what's right, if you want to affect real change in society, I think there has to be a form of selfless sacrifice. In which case, we have to say no to opportunity. If you want to support the show, there's links. Donate. We'd appreciate that. Because it's through your efforts, through your support, that we're able to survive and do what we do. On that note, see you guys next week. Thank you, everyone. Have a good week, everyone.
Oh, I was dancing before the music came on, man. I knew the music was coming. Let's go.